We just picked up the brand new DJI Mavic 2 Pro drone, and I have to say I think this is my new favorite drone. Here it is right here. This is it. You can see right away that the camera on it and the gimbal is much bigger than the original Mavic Pro drone. For us, this was the big reason why we upgraded. This drone has a ton of features. It has sensors completely around it. They call it the Omnidirectional Sensing system, I believe. And what that means is it's going to be a lot safer when you fly. When I first picked the drone up, I noticed it was a little heavier than the original Mavic, and I guess that's because of the additional technology of the sensors. And by no means is it a deal breaker. It's just a little bit heavier, so when you're backpacking, it's just a little bit of extra weight that you have to carry. When we got back from Iceland, we weren't completely happy with the footage from the original Mavic Pro drone because of its smaller camera, the sensor size, and the limited bit rate. We've already sold our original Mavic Pro drone because this completely replaces it in every single way. So let's talk about a few more features with this drone. Right off the bat, it has a 31-minute total flight time, which is a little more than the Mavic Pro. And of course, a longer flight time means you can get extra shots or more photos, so that's always nice. The max speed it can fly is 72 kilometers per hour, which is in sport mode, and that is also just a little faster than the original Mavic Pro. Another great feature with this drone is you can control the aperture. There's a few different modes too. It has automatic, it has aperture priority, it has shutter priority, and then it has the manual options as well. To me, that's a big deal because as a filmmaker, I want to make sure that the footage I'm capturing is as best as it can be, and having full control of the exposure settings makes a big difference. Now, one of the first things I noticed when I opened the packaging was that the controller did not have any toggles. So my first thought was, did they send me something that didn't have all the components? But after opening up the rest of the packaging, I noticed that the two toggles were there, and in fact, they have two additional ones. In this release, they've completely redesigned it so that you can take off each toggle, which is really nice because in the past, using the DJI Mavic Pro, the original drone, I was always concerned that when putting away the controller that I was going to damage the toggles on either side. So being able to disconnect it on this new drone is a big feature for me. So we bought the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. They do have another version called the Zoom, and we decided to not get the Zoom because the camera and gimbal is almost identical to the original Mavic. So from a video and photo perspective, the only real benefit of buying the Zoom would be if you want to really zoom in. But again, it's not going to have the 1-inch sensor that the Mavic 2 Pro does, which means the image quality is going to be significantly less than the Mavic 2 Pro. So for us, buying the Pro versus Zoom was an absolute no-brainer. We need the image quality, and that's why we bought the Pro. One thing I really like about DJI is when they released this new Mavic 2, it was almost the exact same look and feel as the original one. So for me, picking up the controller, operating it the first time, it almost felt exactly the same. Even the app, since it's the DJI Go 4 app, everything looks kind of the same. They just have certain features that have been added. The Mavic 2 also has completely redesigned batteries, and I assume that allows for the increased flight time. They do look similar to the original Mavic Pro batteries, but they are not compatible. For any iPhone users, this drone comes with a lightning cable. The original Mavic Pro did not. There's a short lightning cable that stays on the controller, and it makes it super easy for iPhone users to connect it. There's also a few other cables that come with the drone in case you're using a different type of phone. Having it included means I will never forget it, I don't have to pack it, and that's a big plus for me. Basically everything has been redesigned in subtle ways. For example, the propellers are shaped a little differently. They seem to be a little larger, and then the ends have a little bit of a curve up. And I assume this is in an attempt to make it quieter and to fly better. The charging hub was completely redesigned as well. That comes with the Fly More kit. And this time it's more of a long rectangle, and it has an unfolding feature that I guess makes it a little more compact, although in comparison to the original Mavic Pro, which was more of a square block for the charging hub, I don't really notice a difference in terms of saving space in your bag. It's kind of a cool new design, but it doesn't really save any space in my opinion. So we talked a bit about the camera and gimbal, and yes, it absolutely on the Pro looks much more professional. It definitely felt on the original Mavic Pro that the gimbal was so small that the wind would be able to blow it and alter it a little bit. It was pretty good at stabilizing the footage, but with the new one, I really feel that the size of it will make a big difference in how stable the footage is. And continuing with that thought, it always kind of bugged me that the original one was called the Mavic Pro, even though the gimbal and camera were so small and the bitrate was pretty limited. So I'm happy that the new one is still called Mavic 2 Pro, and this one finally features a larger camera, a larger sensor, and the gimbal is a little more professional. There are several other features that this drone has built in, such as the ability to stitch together panoramic shots. And second to that, there's a cool mode called hyperlapse, which is essentially a time lapse with the drone moving. The ability to do this automatically with the drone and have it fly a certain path while recording a time lapse gives you the ability to create some really great looking footage. Beyond that, there are some other features like the ability to record in H.265, and that unlocks the options of recording in D-Log. And in the editing world, when working with log type footage, you can add what's called a LUT. It's called a lookup table, and what that means is you can apply a certain color profile to the log footage and bring in all of the colors back to how it originally looked. But in doing that, you basically get a little bit of extra dynamic range. And so I know that might be a little confusing, but in other words, shooting in log will allow you to get a little more in the brights and a little more in the shadows. And that allows you to get a better looking image ultimately. I'm really happy with this drone. I think it's going to be the one that I take with me everywhere. It's going to always be in my bag. DJI has a few higher end drones, and some of them have larger gimbals with better cameras and the ability to shoot raw video. Those are awesome, but extremely expensive. So I think the ability to shoot really clean 4K with this camera, with the sensing system it has for obstacle avoidance and how long it flies, how compact it is, there are just so many great features. All right, so thanks for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if you are thinking about buying this drone, or if you have bought it, what your thoughts are. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos in the future. We will see you next time.